What's up, guys? Back again. We have another episode of Consumed, and on this one, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk smoking weed on camera. If you guys hadn't seen it, while on Joe Rogan's podcast, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan decided to smoke weed on camera. The podcast is also filmed, so kind of everything was captured. And right after that kind of happened, or when it kind of was released, business community kind of went crazy. But the loudest voices seemed to be coming from individuals that were a little bit older of a generation. And I don't want this to be an ageism thing. And honestly, I don't want this video to be biased at all. And because of that, I think it's probably important for me to kind of share my opinions on just the topic at hand. Elon Musk, I love the guy from a perspective of just him being such an innovator, somebody that is thinking completely different about kind of every situation that's going on or every challenge that's going on in this world. As a strategy consultant, I wholeheartedly appreciate that. I tend to always have to take that angle when I am presenting a lot of things to clients, because they're used to thinking about things from inside the box, and it usually takes outside the box thinking to really do well in today's business environment. I'm not a stockholder of Tesla, and if you guys want to hear some of my thoughts about Tesla, I'll put a link to the video that'll kind of pop up over here. I think there's kind of a longer play involved with Tesla that I won't kind of talk about in this video. And then, the elephant in the room, talk about marijuana. I lived in Colorado for about 4.5 years before I moved to Austin, Texas. But I grew up in a Northeast Ohio community that is still kind of arguing about marijuana use today, with some of the laws passing around medical use. And because I lived in Colorado for so long, and I lived in Nevada before that, so I lived in these kind of progressive states, I was kind of thrown in the middle of kind of marijuana. And though, like me personally, I don't like the drug, I have tried the drug several times. One, I have a hatred of smoke or smoking. Both my parents smoked growing up, so the act of actual smoking just is such like a gross turnoff to me that doesn't matter if it's marijuana or if it's cigarettes or anything like that. That's just something that's always been a mental hurdle that I can't get over. And then the other side of things, going more using of edibles or beverages or anything like that. Tried them several times, just have never really enjoyed the feeling I got off of them. I'm generally somebody that enjoys my mind going 1,000 miles an hour. I know a lot of people probably use that drug to slow themselves down, and they probably like that relaxing feel. I embrace the constant kind of flow of ideas and me being in my thoughts and enjoying that. So I just have never really enjoyed the use of marijuana. I've tried a little bit of the other side of like the CBD side of things. I never really got the effects that a lot of people kind of talk about and claim about. So I just have tended not to use the drug at all. But politically, or just kind of my ideology on life is being a libertarian. I believe everybody can kind of use whatever kind of substances they want, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. If you are an able-minded adult, you should be able to consume things as you wish. I'm wholeheartedly about legalization of marijuana or kind of quite honestly any drugs. It's none of my business how people want to use those things. That's up to them. So I tend to probably think about this subject a little bit differently than maybe some of the white male financial minded colleagues that are going to be sitting on camera and talking about this. And what really got me fired up was watching CNBC, something that I do every morning as part of my routine. I watch Jim Cramer, a guy that I honestly love, a guy that I enjoy his thoughts on a lot of different subjects, and him talking about just Elon Musk and how kind of off tilt he thought Elon was at this point. And Jim Cramer was talking a lot about just how irresponsible it is for somebody to be smoking pot on camera and somebody of his stature. And this is the kind of acts that somebody that needs help is doing. And though a lot of the things that maybe Elon has been kind of doing lately with spouting out on Twitter about taking Tesla private and smoking weed on camera, I'm not necessarily sure that he is kind of off tilt. One, I think the president has proven like Twitter is a legitimate communication source for putting information out there. You no longer need to go through CNN or CBS to get your information out there. You can use your own self-distributed social media. There's nothing wrong with that. Like millennials and Generation Z have no problem with somebody using those things to communicate. And I think the SEC's definition of communication channels or whatever, I think they use Twitter as a useful communication tool from kind of the smoking weed on camera. I mean, they were in California. It's completely legal. They were not doing anything illegal in terms of the state. Now, federal-wise, obviously still illegal. Taking one puff of a joint and then explaining that you don't like the feeling of it and just kind of having a more kind of conceptual conversation around marijuana, I don't think is the acts of somebody that is off tilt, though it maybe seems very unique or different, comparable to how most public CEOs are acting. I think the transparency that Elon Musk has is actually benefiting him with the generations that are going to be engaging with his products or his services over the next 10 or 15 years. Since those kind of initial reports came out on Friday, September 7th, I know there's been some people talking about how certain security clearances with other companies, SpaceX, could be pulled because of drug use or just a bunch of things. And those could be extremely serious things. I don't pretend to know much about that side of things. I don't work in government. I don't work in kind of government clearances. So, those could be extremely important points that different pundits have brought up. So I totally understand. But my point is more around, if we're talking strictly or CEO, upper management, anybody talking about not using drugs at all, I think a lot of those individuals speaking should, not throw stones in their glass house. Though marijuana maybe seems a little bit odd, it's honestly the flip side of what they see running rampant in their industry every single day. And what I'm talking about is, obviously Wall Street high performers, financial institutions, people that are reaching for the stars. Generally, those people are taking performance enhancing drugs, I guess you could say, kind of in my kind of realm, and those are cocaine and Adderall and just different combinations of legal or illegal kind of nootropics to help them kind of get a little bit more brain function or activity out of their days at a high level. So to me, though it was out in public, this maybe seems odd, but I think it's one of these things where a lot of people are utilizing different drugs in different ways behind closed doors at a very high frequency. And I honestly don't have, going back to political ideologies or personal thoughts, I don't have any problem with any of those things. I think people should use drugs however they want to use drugs to get the intent out of their life that they want. It's none of my business. As long as they're not hurting anybody else and they're able-minded, go at it, have fun, do what you need to do. But I think the negative press that's kind of getting thrown at Elon and how, now he should be taken out of his companies and he should be thrown off of boards and he needs to be put into institutions or whatever the other crazy things that people are saying, I think it's just a complete and utter over-exaggeration. This guy has proven that with unique and different thinking, you can make huge leaps in just how our society is able to continue in different ways. And just because in his personal life you want him to be kind of bottled up, I think it's just not going to happen. Somebody of that stature and creativity level and just kind of genius level, he's going to do things that are going to be much different than kind of the status quo. And I'll say that the best thing that I ever hear in a day is when somebody says, I can't believe you do that. Because when they say that, I honestly love it because it means I'm doing something different than everybody else. And being different is what is going to make impacts and change and make you an extraordinary person in this world. It's not following the status quo. It's not, checking in and out and living a uninspired, unpassionate life. It's honestly about doing things on your terms in a way that's highly effective to whatever kind of intention that you have in your life. Though I'm not a Tesla stockholder, though I'm not Elon's friend, though I'm not, anything like that, my point is more around just the general shock value that this seemed to cause. You think about where kind of the United States is going. Full legalization is definitely in kind of the short-term thinking of America. You could see that Canada just did it. I think if everything kind of goes well in Canada, I don't see why the United States won't do it. Very similar to when Colorado legalized marijuana. A lot of other states were kind of watching and kind of learning, and when things kind of went well, they decided to kind of pull the trigger. We'll kind of see what's going to happen with this one. I just kind of wanted to put some thoughts down on video about Elon and this kind of thing, because I thought I had maybe a little bit different thoughts than most of people that maybe look like me and talk like me. So I want to thank you guys for listening this long. If you guys have done that, make sure you guys are hitting the thumbs up. That helps me out a ton. If you guys have not done this so far, make sure you guys are subscribing to my YouTube channel. That'll help ensure you guys always get notified that my content is out there, even if you are not following me on my other social media. And as always, if you guys got some value out of this content, make sure you guys are telling a friend, tell a colleague. Love to grow this community a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger. And again, I just want to thank you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.